So are we excited to be in New York? Guys, you guys are good. Yeah, right, there we go. Come on. This is Manhattan. I don't know, there's something about New York that really, it sort of gets to me since, I'll explain a little bit where I come from. I'm a New Jersey guy. New Jersey people in here? All right. Come on, we're Jersey, right? All Jersey. I ran a business in New Jersey for about 30 years. It was a photographic supply company and New Jersey's largest camera store. And I sold that business a few months ago. That gets an applause because I escaped. It's always good. You always want to be able to be in that position. I always find something about coming to New York, it kind of works me up. Currently, right now, I actually am on the board of directors of 2 nonprofits in Manhattan. I'm very proud of that, of being able to help other people. And that's a little bit about what we're going to try to do here today, is help you guys a little bit using some of the stuff that I know. Many of you that came up to me actually and have seen some of my video footage. I regularly appear on major network TV. I'm a photography expert and a social media expert. And I actually, because I was in the photo industry, I also write for a few publications. So hopefully we'll be able to, we're going to move to social media a little bit, but let's talk a little bit about the job market. And don't worry, there won't be too many charts and things in this presentation, or maybe there will. Right now, there's 92 million people out of work in the United States. Some statistics say that there are 25% of the workforce is actually either underemployed or out of work. I'm not a big fan of the unemployment rate that the government puts out for us because it doesn't include people that have left the workforce or people like the lady over there who had been at home for many, many years. She's not in that number. And if you look on the chart that I have up here, you see the red arrow. I don't know if my pointer will work. It does. You see the red arrow right there. It points the blue area on the chart, and that's age. And you can see that people between the ages of 40 and in their 60s, the blue areas indicate that they've really left the workforce for an assortment of reasons. On there it has disability, but we all know that a lot of the people that are on disability have done it because it's a convenient way out. And so the amount of people that are looking for work in that age range, there's a lot. There's a lot, and it's competitive out there. It's very, very competitive. We obviously know that. Just by show of hands here, how many people currently are working, like currently have a job? Okay, and how many people don't, either for assorted reasons? So we have about a half and half audience, which is really kind of interesting. Just a question. Anybody here, by the way, having their PC fixed and just wandered into the room? Just curious. Okay. Okay. So it's a pretty grim situation. So who thinks we should give up? Who thinks it's too hard, we might as well, not do it? Right, so one of the things that, I've come across in my life is that as you go through your life, you face challenges. Things are very, very difficult. In a way, it's not fair. If I went through this room, which I'll do in a little bit, and I ask you how many went to Ivy League schools, how many went to top colleges, how many, I'm going to get a really large number of people in here that are going to actually say that. Hold on one sec here. So, right, we don't grow when things are easy. We actually grow when we face challenges. And you should view that this time of your life is actually an opportunity. I know it doesn't seem like that. It's a little bit daunting. You're going to go out into the job world. And how many people here have actually actively been looking for work? Right? So a lot of you. And I guess the reason that you're here is that it's really, really difficult. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of a story of what I went through for me. And it's a purpose behind the story. I'll tell you a little bit about me and a little bit about how I came through that and how I really think that you should compare that situation to the quest for finding a job. So in a presentation, I get to do this, right? So I have the keynote speech. So those are my kids. I have 5 kids. That was from 1998. You can see the hair was a little bit more full than it is right now. So I met my wife when I was at the University of Pennsylvania. How many Penn people in here? All right, Penn, right? Okay. At Penn, we were studying mathematics together. I was anxious to get going and start my business and do all of those things that you want to do when you're in your early 20s. I had sort of an ideal life, 5 kids. We were doing really well, except there was a problem. My wife, mother of our 5 kids, she left us. She left us when I was, I want to say 30 years old. I had 5 little kids, age 18 months through 8 years old. So that wasn't the life that I planned for myself, just like you find yourself here in a place where it really shouldn't necessarily be like this, being laid off or whatever the case is. Life's tough sometimes, we know that. And so I was faced with a situation of probably a 20-year jail term. Trust me, for a man, particularly in a place like New Jersey with 5 kids, it was an uncomfortable situation. I viewed it as literally like a jail sentence, like how I was going to get out. I thought about running away. I thought about all of those things. Well, through the last 20 years, 5 driving lessons, 5 bar mitzvahs, 5 SAT preps, right? Think about that, right? I think the hair went from the driving lessons, okay? And my kids are pretty coordinated, but I'll tell you, wow, that's really rough. So we went through all of that, you know, and somehow I ran a business, and somehow I can't even tell you, I sometimes think it was the grace of God that did it. And I went through all of that. And I'm standing here before you, right? It seems like I'm okay, but that difficulty, right? You would say that raising 5 kids on your own probably is not quite as hard as finding a job. But the thing about that is that transformed me. That turned me into the person I am today. My kids raised me. I learned responsibility. I learned that you have to figure out a way to have a big life, which I ended up doing. I had a great life. And the end result is we sit today, and that's at my daughter's wedding, 20 years later. Okay? All my kids, thank you. All my kids are superstars. Northwestern University, because we're a big university crowd, Columbia University, George Washington University, Elliott School, Pace University, Drew, you got it. They're wonderful human beings. I'm really close to them. So we ended up with a success story, and I can tell you that I would not be standing here. I would not have had the life that I had hadn't I sort of figured out how to overcome that challenge. And that's really what I want you guys to keep in mind. Getting a job it's upsetting, right? Because you don't really have control over it. And I think that to me is one of the biggest issues about finding a job, is that you can't make the decision. You know you're qualified, you know those things, you want to be able to get there. Sorry, it's okay. Computers are acting up here a little bit. Okay, so the end result is I now help other fathers, I help other parents. I write for the Huffington Post, I write for the Good Men Project, I write for Entrepreneur Magazine, that's my blog. One of the reasons why I put it up there is we're going to talk a little bit about personal blogs too. And I've had hit articles, I've had thousands of people reading my stuff. So you've heard these stories before, right? You've heard stories of people who've lost children to drunk drivers and then they go out and right? The mad story. You hear that kind of thing. And what I'd like you guys to do is think of yourself in that journey. It's a pretty complicated thing, what I'm saying, but because you want to imagine yourself, but really imagine yourself in that journey, like you're in part of that journey. And when you come out the other side, you're going to grow, you're going to be a better person. And so the idea is not to get discouraged. You should view the obstacles that we face, right? The obstacles that we face in life as a chance to really grow and get someplace better. So I promise you that if you really go with the right attitude and you really believe that you're in that journey, you're actually going to get to a better place, right? And I firmly believe that the challenges we face, right, particularly the ones that we didn't, who expected to be here? Who expected to be at this point in their life? Anybody? Right? You did it.
Oh, I didn't expect it.
I was going to say, really? Right? Who would want to be at this place? Nobody would be. But you're in a journey, and this is part of the journey. And I promise when you come out the other side, if you work at it, you're going to end up in a better place. One of the things that you should focus on is it doesn't really matter what's behind you. Anybody remember, this is like a really esoteric reference. I've never done this before in front of an audience, so I'm going to try it. Does anybody remember the Gumball Rally movie? Does anybody know that movie? God, I'm the only one who's right. It's like the guy who rips off his rear view mirror and he says, it's an Italian guy, he says, it doesn't matter what's behind me, it only matters what's in front of me. Okay? That's really the idea. Okay, I won't use that reference again. You guys were my guinea pig. Okay, we're not going there. We're not going there. Okay, so there's two things that I learned from my journey that I want you guys to take through the rest of the day, and I want you to take really with the rest of your life. Okay? Something that, and I live by this, is you can't have everything that you want, but you can have anything that you want, anything. I firmly believe that, particularly in a room like this with such qualified, smart, good-looking people, right? You just have to want it bad enough. So that means you focus your energies. Just like when I had my kids, I was desperate for them to turn out successful, because having 5 kids and being able to show you that picture up there means I can spike the football. You know, I scored a touchdown. Scored 5 touchdowns. But imagine if one of my kids was on drugs, or one of them was in jail, or whatever. You know, there's all sorts of bad things that can happen. My life would be ruined. And so I was pretty desperate to make that happen. And I want you guys to have a little bit of a sense of desperation, right? Because desperation, I don't mean, you know, cause yourself stress and don't sleep at night, but to really be focused on actually achieving it. So Johanna asked you to write down some goals and write down some things. You need to be focused on those things, right? Really solely focused, and I promise that it'll happen. And the other lesson that I learned is that, like anything in life, nobody's going to really help you. We're going to give you help here today. We're going to give you advice. But the only people who can make it happen is you. That's it. It's in your lap. You're going to get help. You're going to get advice. You're going to do all of that stuff. We're going to help you. There's like, how many speakers we have today?
22.
There's 22 people here that are going to help you. You're going to take that advice in, but when you ultimately leave here, it's up to you. Just like it was with me when I had my kids. Sure, I had people help me now and then, but ultimately the responsibility was mine. And so I really, really want you to take that and focus on that you have to be the driver, you have to want it badly, and you have to make it happen. And I promise you, you're going to all get there. If you take those 2 pieces of advice to heart, you are definitely going to get there. You're going to make it happen. You know how I know that? You've all been successful up to this point in your life. You are. You're here. You all, great colleges, great lives, families, all sorts of stuff. So why don't you think you're going to be successful now? You are. You just need to focus. You need to be driven. And I promise you, you're going to get there. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, my computer's complaining a little bit. Okay. Let's get a little bit to our talk today. We're going to talk a little bit about personal branding, social media, and how we're going to help, how that's really going to help you along the way. How many people in here, let's see, how many people in here know what a social brand is? Right? Tell me what you think. What do you think it is?
Your social brand is your persona on the internet. So that can be a Twitter handle, that can be a LinkedIn profile, it can be a personal blog, it can be all 3 of those things.
Did everybody hear that? That was a very good description. Tell me some other things about, let's say, a personal brand. Anybody want to volunteer something? Yeah.
Appearance, when you meet people, and demeanor.
That's right. Exactly right. That's exactly right. So it's your unique descriptor online that people who haven't met you in person and don't really know you can actually learn about you. And it turns out that online, social media is really the best way to establish a personal brand. One of the terms that I've heard, it's not my term, but I like to use, a personal brand, you should think of as me incorporated. I like that. I think that's from you, John? Yeah, that's his term. Me incorporated, you're building your own corporation. And then you have to go out and you have to describe it to people. And in today's world, it turns out that social media is really one of the best ways to create a social brand. How many people in here use social media regularly? Great. Okay. LinkedIn? How many? All right, every hand. Anybody not use LinkedIn in here? It's okay if you don't. It's okay. Twitter? Wow, okay. By the way, usually when I do this, show you how far ahead you guys are, usually when I do Twitter in here, usually get 2 people raising their hand. Everybody in here has Facebook? Facebook, okay. Okay. Anybody have a personal blog they write on? Okay, a few of you do that actually. It turns out that social media is going to be the best way for you to get noticed in that crowded job market, I promise. The other aspect of a personal brand, and this is really, really important, if I took everybody's resume in here and I put them in a stack and I mixed them up, you would have trouble distinguishing a lot of the people in here. Now, I know some of you are in different areas, like who's anybody here from healthcare? Right? I'm just curious, interesting. Okay. If you stacked up the resumes, you'd all look the same. So your personal brand, social media, is the way you can actually distinguish yourself. It's the way that you can be a unique person to somebody who's actually hiring you. So that's why it's really important to have that, because in this kind of market, without that unique distinguishing feature, you're going to have a hard time getting yourself noticed. Right? How many people have submitted a resume to not hear anything? Right? That was an easy question. Right? And you sort of look at the job qualifications, you're like, how many said to themselves, how did they not call me? How is that possible, right? We've all said that. Okay? Of course. Okay. All right. So the question is, do I need social media, right? LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, to get noticed or get the job I always want? Who thinks you do? Who thinks you don't? Anybody want to make an argument against? That was not nice. You'd have to argue with me. Okay? But we're going to make the case today that you actually do. Okay. So this is one of my favorite slides. This is actually from a survey from the fall of 2015. So it is very recent, from the Society of Human Resources Managers. They surveyed, I think, over 1,000 hiring managers, approximately 1,000 from an assortment of companies. 57% of those companies hired from LinkedIn. Most surprising statistic, in my mind, is that 19% of companies hired off of Facebook. Who would have guessed that? Anybody? You would.
If your Facebook is private,
Yeah.
then should it not be private then?
So the question was, if your Facebook is private, should it then not be private? The answer is yes, and we're going to spend time on that in a little bit. That was a great question, right? It's one of the #1 questions I asked. 8% hired off of Twitter. I want you to remember that number a little bit, though. Okay? And 35% right now don't use social media at all. So to answer that question, well, if you want to go for the 35% is it better to go for 100% of the companies or 35% of the companies? So the answer to the question is yes, you need to have social media. Okay? Sorry. I got myself in a Windows funk here. Okay. Then they went to the same hiring managers and they asked whether candidates should have social media, what kind they should have. 87% they said should have a LinkedIn profile. That's not unexpected. But they said 63% should have a Facebook profile, and that should give a little bit of a hint to the question you asked. Now notice 8% only hired from Twitter, but 56% said you should have one. Just keep that statistic in mind as we go forward. Right? And I use WordPress there, but it's really, yeah, Larry.
So what this strikes me as is coming out of college.
Yes.
And the reason that all these hiring managers want these pieces is not to figure out who's better or worse. Well, who's better, but to figure out who's worse.
There's some, so the question.
Right, they have pictures of meeting somebody.
Right, you're going to see, we're going to get to that. So his question was, hiring managers, are they using this for positive reasons or negative reasons? In other words, positive to see what you're about or negative to try to get stuff on you. The answer is both, and we're going to get to that. Okay? 55%, yes?
What is WordPress?
I just use WordPress because it's the most common blogging platform, but it really means have your own website. I don't know what percentage, but they have a large percentage of the blogging market. Anybody here have a WordPress site? Okay, just so you can see. Okay. I do too, the site that I showed you did.
Matt, can I just mention one other thing?
Yeah.
So one of the things about LinkedIn that I found troublesome
Yeah.
is when the hiring manager compares your resume to LinkedIn and for some stupid reason decides that if they're not exactly alike, there must be something wrong with them.
Okay, so did everybody hear that? He asked about your LinkedIn, so I'm going to get to that like in one slide. I like this. Like, you should we'll give you the presenter. Okay, right? So let me show you what a personal brand looks like. Okay? A personal brand is a little bit of an exercise in narcissism. Let's just get it out of the way right away. Okay? Trust me, after having raised 5 kids, all of your humility, narcissism, forget it. You don't care anymore. All you want to do is sleep. But the thing that I have learned is that you just keep pounding your brand home. Okay, so this is my personal brand. I use that. And so there's a little bit of gamesmanship going on here. Okay, so I'm sitting here in front of 70, 80 people, right? So why shouldn't I promote my personal brand? I understand I'm giving a talk on personal branding, but it's an opportunity for me to do it. So I'm going to do it. And that's the way you have to think about social media and branding. Every opportunity you have to present yourself, you want to be able to do that. I don't know who's in this room. There could be somebody in this room. This could turn out really well for me. Okay, so your personal brand. I have a very handsome looking picture of me up there, right? Okay. No, but seriously, I have a good picture of me up there. Okay, it's my Me Incorporated. My name. Now my name is Matthew, M-A-T-T-H-E-W, but I like to use the word Matt because I've given up. Everybody's going to call me Matt anyway, and it's shorter, so I call my name Matt, right? Whether my mom would be happy about that or not, I don't know. And then I put all of the things, this is from my Twitter. Those are all of the things that I do. And you can very, very quickly see, okay, so I'm a Penn graduate, okay, I have a master's degree in mathematics, blah, blah, blah. You all guys got degrees like that and everything. But look at how this distinguishes me from everybody in here. Not that I'm better than you, but it distinguishes me. It makes me look different. I talk about I'm president of 2 nonprofits, and those are the Twitter handles to the nonprofits. Age Center is a faith-based nonprofit here in Manhattan, and JHP is a photography charity. We use photography to help veterans and people in need. I'm a contributor, a writer at Entrepreneur Magazine, Huffington Post, and the Good Men Project. I'm a speaker, right? Well, you guys will determine that in the end. I'm writing a book called Man Up. Okay, hopefully it'll be out soon. And I'm a consultant, and I'm a photography and social media expert, and I've also been in a CMO. I'm in the CMO club and marketer. And so for my Twitter, by the way, I get to brag a little bit. So I'm the 11th most followed CMO on Twitter.
What, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So where is this?
It sits on my Twitter profile. But I took that as a short little synopsis because we're going to explain all those pieces kind of as we go. Yeah. But it's right from my Twitter handle.
What is a CMO?
A CMO is Chief Marketing Officer.
Okay, and also, are you maybe about to discuss this?
Yeah.
Kind of the balance between, and I'm sure many of us have to deal with the personal Facebook photos.
We are definitely going to talk about that. It's the number one concern when we do that. Okay, and I'll explain a little bit of what I do, right? So I have 5 kids. I have a very private life, right? And you concern about, my kids are older now. They're in their 20s, obviously. But it's still a concern, and I'll actually talk about a little bit how you manage that. It's really, I understand, it's really it's a question, I don't know if everybody heard, but it's really a question about privacy, okay? And I put everything up there so you can find me. Now, how many people in this room just followed me? Okay, 1, 2, 3. That's terrible. Not because I want followers, okay? I like to have followers, and I want you all to follow me. But doing social media and branding, you need to get with it. You need to follow and connect with as many people as possible. It's one of the rules of social media and branding, right? And I'm obviously an influencer. I get to speak, I'm standing up here, I'm doing all of this stuff. So you want to connect with me, because you're likely to find lots of people that have connected with me the other side, and you're going to find it. And the other thing you want to do is, particularly when you go to see a speaker, you want to connect with them on LinkedIn. If you're onto Twitter, you don't have to have Twitter, but if you're on Twitter, you want to do that. You want to go to their face. You want to just connect with everybody. Yes?
Talking about Twitter, is it as important to follow others as for others to follow you?
Following, when people follow you. So the question was, is it better to follow people or have people follow you? The answer is both. Okay, it's more satisfying when people follow you. It makes you feel important, right? When I have people follow me on Twitter, of course, I don't know whether they're real or not half the time, but it's good to have them follow. And you want to follow people, which I'm going to get to when I talk about Twitter. There are people that you want to follow, and you want to do it deliberately. Okay, so let's go right into it. All right. I turned off this notification. I should get the Microsoft people here and let them play with my thing. Okay, let's do some basic social media tips. Okay, we're going to do what we're going to do is we're going to do some basic social media tips, and then we're actually going to go into the individual ones. I'm going to go through a lot of material right now, You're not going to all follow it all. I get it. You're going to connect with me afterwards. I have my cards over there. I'll send you pieces of the presentation if you want. So, but I want to go through it because people are going to take parts of each. Now, you guys might find this really funny, right? But you would be surprised, actually, at how many people, I mean, that's a ridiculous one, right? But you'd be surprised at how many people have unprofessional-looking profile photos. Now, we are in a world today where it doesn't matter what you look like, right? You should get the job independent of that. Who believes that? Right? It's not true. Okay? It's just not true. Human beings are hiring managers are human beings. If they don't like the way you look, they're less likely to hire you. It's as simple as that. And if they don't think that you can present yourself in a professional manner, they're not going to hire you. And if you're partying like that young lady, okay? Would you, if you were a hiring manager, you guys all could be hiring managers. Would you want to hire her? The one on the left there? I don't think so. So the one on the right, I actually had a picture. I deliberately took that picture because it's a professional headshot by a super duper photographer. It's a little edgy, right? Like for women, and I did this deliberately, right? It's a little bit like, right? You guys know what I mean? So I got a little bit of a, now this is a personal thing. I believe you use what you got. Okay? I'm sorry, I'm just being blunt with you, right? Some people may call that sexist, may not like it. It's for guys too. Why not present yourself in the best possible way? Okay? Picture is okay. Some people might not be comfortable with that, but I am. Okay? And I think that you use every asset that God gave you in order to get a job. But most importantly, never pictures that don't represent yourself. Get a professional headshot. It's going to...
On the industry that you're in a little bit?
It's certainly, right? If you're applying to more, so the question was the headshot, does it depend on the industry? It's a great point. And I would say that if you're in a more conservative industry, or you're looking to apply to, let's say, a Fortune 50, it depends on the company. I'm guessing that if you're applying to work at Google, it's not going to matter. But if you're applying to work at GE, it might matter, right? A little bit too edgy, you might not want to do that at GE, because they're a much older, more conservative company. We'll talk about that, sort of being smart about how we go about things. Okay, some other tips. Okay, and we started to address this a little bit. So they surveyed the hiring managers, almost 1,000 of them. And they started talking about how they look at social media. I don't know if you can see this up here, but this is the observations of the hiring managers. Okay? They found that 50% of the people they looked at displayed salacious posts. Okay? They posted information about soliciting drugs and alcohol. Okay? It's hard to believe, but people actually do stuff like that, particularly on the influence of drugs and alcohol. All sorts of things can happen. Okay? This is my favorite one. 3 is my favorite. Is they spoke badly of their previous employer. Right? I know it's hard to imagine, but people do that out there. Right? 33%, 1 in 3. 1 in 3, the hiring managers, they interviewed 1,000 hiring managers, 1 in 3 said they spoke badly. Okay? 4, this is a big one for me, okay? This one, 4. 30% portrayed poor communication skills. Who here is guilty of just slopping something on Facebook? I am, okay? Everybody is. Okay? They go out there sometimes to check your writing, because remember, you can have your resume prepared by somebody. You can even, when you're filling an employment application, you can even have somebody online help you with that. But when you're posting online, they can see what you're really up to. Okay? 28% made blasphemous remarks or remarks about race or gender. Remember, and we'll get into politics a little bit, and 24% lied about their job qualifications. So they found something that was contradictory online. Okay? I'll just make a little side note. Actually, I'll get to it when we talk about Facebook a little bit later, about sort of talking about politics. Okay. Tip 3. Larry, this one's for you. Tip number 3, your LinkedIn profile, right? I put the percent, 57% higher from LinkedIn. Should be exactly the same and up to date as your resume. It's one of the first things they do. They just go boom, boom. It's an easy way to disqualify you. Make sure they're exact. It's not that hard. If you don't know how to do it, get somebody to help you. Okay? Yeah?
So, the question is, on LinkedIn, and I've seen this almost universally, people, when they're out of work, leave the previous job on for a little longer, maybe a few months, because the thought is it's easy to find a job if you have a job. though you tend to be a little more, you don't have a job. So how do you?
They should. There is no decision. When you leave the job, you put you left the job. Truth wins. Always be truthful. Yes.
I do know that on LinkedIn, though, you are able to import your resume.
Yes.
So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, you can just import your resume, and then there's no issue with comparison, and then you're not doing double the work.
That's right. You can bring that in. But you also want, but what happens is you do that and then you go change your resume and then don't re-import it. Yes.
I think importing your resume is a good tool. However, when people first go to your profile, they want to see your profile.
Profile, 100%.
You know, and they want to see more than a list of a job,
Yeah,
where you were in the years.
that's right.
Okay, it's really got to be your message.
Yeah, that's right. And having a good LinkedIn profile is everything. Okay? Just quick, yeah, sorry.
When you say exact, you mean the date should be exact.
I mean, the information should be exact. So if you have 4 jobs on your resume, have 4 jobs on LinkedIn. If you say that you like badminton, make sure it's on the LinkedIn profile.
Your LinkedIn profile shouldn't be your resume.
It,
It should be the same information.
it should be the same information, correct. That's right.
How's that different then?
Oh, because people put different things on there. They leave jobs off. They don't have them line up.
But, so that's a good question. So for your LinkedIn, if you're not putting your whole resume, can't you just take your last 3 jobs?
Okay, I mean, if you've had 22 jobs or you've had 12 jobs, you might just not want to put them all up there. I agree with that. But it really needs to, everything recent, I would say in the last 10 years has to be, and the degree dates, all of that stuff. Some people are afraid they don't want their age to show, so they don't put it's all got to match. The employer's going to find all this stuff out. It all has to be the same. So was a question back there? Yeah.
But also on LinkedIn, a lot of jobs hire directly from your LinkedIn account.
Absolutely, we're going to get to that. That's a very good point. So uploading your resume is not always just enough. Okay? Join social groups, relevant to your career, engage others. Don't be afraid to contact hiring managers. A great way to get noticed. I'll talk about that a little bit more. Okay? This is a pet peeve of mine, email addresses. Okay? Right? Having a ridiculous email address. I'm sure that's not the case from this group, but I've seen it. Trust me, I've seen it. Another thing I'm going to talk about too. Okay? Some of you are not going to like this, but it's the truth. If you have an AOL email address, you are disadvantaging yourself.
What about Yahoo?
It's slightly better. Slightly better. It's not as bad. I don't think that Yahoo is going to get you disqualified, but I will tell you that it's kind of like, really? Really? So you should either have your own domain, okay? I have msweetwood.com, or you should have Gmail. If you don't, set one up for the job and forward it or do something, okay? And certainly it's got to be a professional, yes.
How important is the look of your resume, the font, that it looks modern?
I mean, of course. Yeah, of course. You should not be using hobo font. How about that for someone who knows about design? Do we know the hobo font? It was like one of the, like a 1950s font, yeah.
How do you get your own domain?
You have to go, you pick a domain. You can go to like Network Solutions. There's like 100. Any one of like GoDaddy. You can go. I'm not a GoDaddy fan, but you can go to any of the internet providers and try it out. And if you haven't got your name already, it's probably too late. But you can do some version of it. Okay. So on my slide, I'm M Sweetwood everywhere. I'm an early adapter. I have my Twitter handle is M Sweetwood, my LinkedIn, my Facebook, my website, my everything. Yes.
Tip 4, search social media
Mm-hmm.
for job offerings.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how.
We're going to get to that. We're going to actually go through that. Okay. And the other thing in your email is place links to your social media. Another thing I don't get is people send their emails and there's no information in the bottom. It's a free chance to advertise to everybody. And your email sometimes gets forwarded, which means your stuff appears in there. Yeah.
So Instagram, Twitter, that should all be at the bottom of your email.
That's right. If you want it to be seen, it should be at the bottom of your email. Here, I'll show. I'll do a little bit of my stuff in a second. Okay, let's go through LinkedIn, right? It's a big one. Okay? I'll give you these slides. I won't go through them all the way. I'll just do them really quick, okay? Right, we already talked about, LinkedIn is the way to actually have job interviews come to you. And that has to do with not uploading your resume, but actually filling out LinkedIn. Okay? Companies actually use automated searches. And they search through the profiles. And if enough keywords match whatever, your profile comes to them. So it's extremely important that that's filled out properly, right? Okay? Here I took a quote from a senior communications director at LinkedIn. Okay? Complete profile, extremely important. If you can't fill out a profile on LinkedIn, it means that your skills online probably are not going to be so good, and you can't fill out their forms properly either. Okay? Right? And I talk about they use automated systems. Everybody know that? They use automated systems. They actually scan. When a company pays, they actually scan through LinkedIn so they can see. Okay? This is keywords. Okay? This is sort of so the idea is when they scan your profiles, and I could give a whole seminar actually in LinkedIn, and actually how to work LinkedIn, so we're going to go through it pretty quickly here because our time is a little bit limited. But you want to make sure that your resume matches the industry that you're in. You want to make sure that you have the terms. If there's a certification required, make sure it is written exactly like the certification that's required. If you have a skill, make sure that that skill matches. Really good tip is that if you have a job that you want to apply for, go look at the qualifications for the job and then go back to your LinkedIn profile and your resume and add those exact terms in. Okay? So that when they scan, or even if it's done manually, they look at you, you're going to line up really well. It's a little bit of a game. I mean, this is not like the old days where you got called into the boss's office and he just kind of looked you, down his glasses. And, I mean, this is automated. Companies, by the way, are cutting back dramatically on hiring managers and HR personnel. Dramatically. One of the last positions I hired for before I sold my company was an HR director. It was a job, I was paying $40,000, $50,000 a year. I had $120,000 hiring managers come for interviews. I had one who worked for a New York ad agency. She was the only hiring manager in a 1,000-person firm. They had fired everybody else. So hiring managers need the automated tools. They can't manage what's going on. So that's why it's extremely important. Okay. This is one of my favorite things, and people tend to be afraid of this. But I do it all the time. I'm a wild connector. Connect with everybody. Be ballsy. Go right to the hiring manager of the company you want to go work for and connect with them. Go connect with their employees. Okay? Don't be afraid. Go for it. Contact them. Talk to them. It can get you noticed. Remember what the goal is. You want to build your own personal brand so that you get noticed among the huge stack of resumes or all the automated things that go on. Okay? Be bold. Okay? Accept connections from everybody. We'll get a little bit to the privacy issue, but on LinkedIn, assuming they are not in some remote region of Africa, okay, or the former Soviet Union, or it's just a fake profile with some pretty guy or girl on it, okay, accept the connection. On LinkedIn, when you connect, LinkedIn will then suggest people that are connected to them. So if you can, for example, get connected to an employee at a company that you want to apply for a job, on their connections will be all the other people working in the company, and then you'll have access to them to actually go out and connect with them. Okay? The other thing, which I guess really sort of ties in with the keywords that we talked about, was consider industry speak. In other words, make sure that you know. Am I getting feedback with this thing? I think so. Make sure you use industry speak so you know what you're talking about. Yeah?
When you connect, do you recommend writing a note or just using the LinkedIn language?
That's a really good question. So that's a tricky issue because you don't want to be a stalker. The question was, you go connect with somebody, and then should you immediately send a note? I would say the answer is yes in this particular case because I don't think you have a lot to lose. They could choose not to answer you, but no matter what, maybe they'll just see it, ignore you, and then when your resume comes by, they'll be like, didn't I know that? I don't know. I don't think it can hurt. Okay? I don't think it can hurt. I think you're more likely to benefit from that. Yeah?
What about in the automated invitation? Should you personalize that or not?
Okay, so I have 13,000 LinkedIn connections, and I get a bunch every day. And I personally, though I'm not a hiring manager, I personally don't like because people just write something that's meaningless. They write, "Hi Matt, it's really great to connect with you. I'd love to reach out to you and find a way that we can work mutually together." It's like, but no, if you connect with a hiring manager, you can actually say something very specific. So in that case, I would consider doing that. But it shouldn't just be a general, it's annoying, it becomes spam if you do that. So I would not just for the sake of it, just have an automated welcome message, yes.
Well, I'm thinking also
Yes.
Nothing here, and the better that you can just even add a little something, the more likely it is to be not only a good connection, but a welcome connection.
I completely agree with that. I think writing something meaningful to somebody you connect with, really relevant to business, I think can be a very valuable way. Remember now, look at what you just did. You were nobody before you did that. But now you sit there, and this is why the personal brand is important, because if you get their attention, what are they going to do? They're going to go to your profile and start clicking around and to see what you're about. And a personalized message, something really, remember, social media, even though I said your personal brand is narcissistic, everybody is in it for themselves. So if you can think of something that the hiring manager would want to know, if you can think of something that's valuable to them, okay, it's like an ad. Get their attention, draw them in. It's tricky, but sometimes, yes.
Did you say you have 13,000?
I do.
So doesn't that become something of a headache in your daily life? Because, I mean, I do not accept all my LinkedIn invitations because I get so much mail all the time. It's overwhelming, and I have nowhere near 13,000.
Okay, so without being fresh, okay, it's a question of how badly do you want it. I can't tell you the things that have happened to me through LinkedIn accepting a random connection. I have one connection that I made with a young woman in Australia. This is not going weird. With a young woman in Australia, okay? And she had something on her profile about creating social networks to change the world. I connected with her. She accepted my connection, okay? I sent her a connection too and said, let's change the world together. She wrote me back 2 or 3 days later. We've had several conversations since. I'm going to be on their board of directors of a new social media in a few weeks. That's a connection that I made just totally random. Yeah?
This conference is totally doing, but she reached out to me to be her New York connection from LinkedIn. I never heard of her. And I was very wary of accepting because I never heard of her. And because of us connecting, we're all here today. So.
That's right. I'm here for that same reason.
Saying to me, you might want to know this person. And so I went to say, all right, why does LinkedIn think I should know this person? This person is someone in my industry or 3,000 miles away. And then I looked at her profile and I thought, all right, I'll reach out and say, this is what I'm doing. Might you be interested? Because I'm looking to come to New York. And she reached out, and little by little, and in fact, a lot of the speakers, with a show of hands, who is here today actually physically has met me before today? Put your hands up. Okay, that's it. That's it. 80% or 90% of the people here today are people I have never seen before. But we made a connection either through LinkedIn or Facebook or a friend recommended or whatever, and we took that leap to say, we have something in common, we're heading in the same direction, let's give it a shot and see what we can do together. And that's what
Even I got here that way.
you got there. Yeah.
That's right, I got here.
That today.
That's right. So I connected with a young lady who happened to write articles from a woman's perspective on divorce. And it just so happened that she was in the same, she's from Short Hills.
I said, oh, well, if you had it, then I may as well just try it. And I work at the
So I connected with her because I hope to do some work, like maybe we would do an interview together, divorce from a man's perspective or something like that. And we had done a little bit of stuff together. And then she became connected with you guys. And then she recommended me to come here and speak. So it was through a total random connection. I can't tell you how, you have to work it. It's how badly you want it. I can't emphasize that enough. If you want it badly enough, you're just going to sort through the crap. You're not going to answer the guy from, Tasmania who, says your profile picture is so pretty. I mean, just ignore that stuff. I don't, yeah.
One caveat that I've experienced is you need to have the premium LinkedIn in order to send connections to people that you don't have a relationship with.
Okay, so the premium LinkedIn, that's a really good question. So there's 2 advantages to the premium LinkedIn connection. One is they make you pay, okay, in order to get your resume up to the top of the list. That's one of the things you get from the premium. And then the question that you were asking was, you can't send somebody mail who you haven't connected with.
Unless you have their email.
Unless you have their email. Now, a lot of people, so here's what I would say, is that if a person has not put their email on their LinkedIn profile, and everybody here should, so when you go to the contact section, it should be there. If they haven't, and they haven't accepted your connection, don't email them anyway. That means they don't really want to be found. They don't want to be contacted that way. So if you go to the tab and it has their email, email them. But don't be forcing email on them because you have a paid version. That's a no-no. I get those sometimes. And it's always somebody soliciting me for something. Yes.
Well, I've made connections, particularly at a company that I'm looking at or have applied to, and there is a workaround that you can do with your phone. So if you're on your laptop, yes, you have to have their email, but if you're on your cell phone, it just has a connect button that you can click.
Okay, so
I
that.
get it, and I have made really meaningful connections that way. I figure if they don't, they're just going to.
Yeah, I wasn't going to get too much into the LinkedIn mobile app is both terrible and also part of the reasons why it's terrible is it doesn't have the same security features that. So she actually realizes that you can actually, it won't let you connect with people online, but it'll let you connect with on the app. The warning is that sometimes the app tells you it's done something, but their back-end security blocks it anyway. You don't even know, but that's a great tip, is that you can send. But in general, if somebody is trying to prevent you from outsiders from emailing them, I don't know if you want to get over that. If somebody, they'll just put their email on their profile, okay? So I would be a little bit careful about that, but it's good initiative, maybe if you do that, okay? Okay, the other thing too, which we'll talk a little bit about, for those of you that can write, the LinkedIn Pulse blogging platform is phenomenal. Okay, it's really a phenomenal platform. Yeah.
Would you recommend using that platform over creating your own blog?
You do both. So you take the blog that's on LinkedIn Pulse and you put it on your website, and you link back and forth because you want to create that connection. It boosts the SEO on your website. Yes.
So for blogging, I do PR. Am I blogging about PR, or am I blogging more about my life, my brand?
My favorite question so far of the day. So the question was, and this is a little bit of that personal issue and stuff like that. So do I blog personally, or do I blog, I'm in the drug industry and I came from an industry, we sold Viagra, so I'm going to write about Viagra the whole time, okay? And we're going to do it. No. The answer, my personal opinion, and this is subjective, is you should blog about everything. Because you then create a whole person, a real person. Would I put the most personal things there? No. But I would talk about so that you can show that there's more to you than just being sort of this almost fake, this is all I talk about. Okay, now I guess if I were in the music industry and I were writing about music artists, that's where it becomes kind of like it's cool to write about music, I guess. But in general, I would write about a variety of topics. And in a blog, you can categorize those things. On LinkedIn, I would be a little bit more careful about what I write. It should be really more business-oriented, or people will start getting, you'll get bad comments on there if you write about that kind of stuff. But that's a really good question, yeah.
What about politics?
Okay, we're going to get to that. Politics was the question. We're actually going to get to that. Okay, let me go next. Okay, before I do that, let me just, I'm going to do a little bit right here so my thing can, just bear with me a sec here. I'm going to call up a profile here. Okay. I'm going to do this really fast. Okay? So I'm going into my LinkedIn profile. Okay? This is an article I wrote. So here's what I did for the conference. Is I went out and I wrote an article, okay, about the conference. And if you notice, I connect to the conference in there, so I create some sort of synergy. You always want to be thinking about things like that. This article, actually, I am showing you on LinkedIn, but actually it was on Entrepreneur Magazine. So I posted it on Entrepreneur Magazine. I'm a writer there, so they accepted it, they posted it. It's on my blog, and it's here, and it's all cross-linked. On, I believe, this one on, no, that one's on the that one's from the Huffington Post. Okay, so I posted it in their business section of the Huffington Post and linked it across the way. My LinkedIn profile, if I can actually figure out how to get there. I am so not a fan of their interface. Okay, so this is what my profile looks like. I'm going to go through it really fast. Okay, see, I have once again, the same stuff that you saw everywhere, over and over and over again. I keep pounding my own chest because that's what you want to do. Okay. Articles I've written, you see that right there? There's articles I've written. It looks like I've done something. And don't think that people don't look at this. If you look up here, it says published by Matt. There's 34 articles. Okay, you see it right? Let's see if I can see it. It's like, where is it right here? So you guys can see it. So people will actually look at that. It's 34 articles. Okay, that shows that I'm doing something, right? I'm not just faking my way by uploading my resume to LinkedIn and hoping something good will happen. Okay? Summary, I have some of my media appearances there. That one right there is from CBS. I was on CBS. It's a summary of who I am. It's very like narcissistic. Innovator, risk taker, creative. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know who that is. Okay? I'll tell you, I did something up there. I've been writing for the Huffington Post for a while, but I decided to put it on my profile. So I clicked the button, this button right up here, okay, to show changes. It's on no right now, because I may change something that I don't want. I click it to yes, and then I put a new job up there. My job is a writer. It's not, you don't get paid for writing on the Huffington Post. I put it up there. I think right now I got 700 people congratulating me on that. I then, somebody did it for me, but I then responded to all 700 of those people and told them to go follow my blog. And here's the article on the Huffington Post. Go look at it on the Huffington Post and go follow it. It's just a game. But it's kind of cool, right? It's actually not a big deal. Huffington Post has 30,000 bloggers. Just so you know. Anybody in here, really, if you can write a little bit, you can get on the Huffington Post. It's not a big deal. But it sounds like a big deal. Okay? Okay? I have my positions on the board of directors. Okay? All sorts of stuff about me. You see how full this profile is? It's visual. It's got pictures. You can go look at it later. I don't want to spend too much time on it now, but you got it. Okay? Skills and endorsements. Okay? I have a zillion of those. I don't know. I'm not big on it. It's important to have them. I don't know. Does any job person, I don't know whether they really look at those endorsements. Okay? My degrees. Right? And if you notice, I'm not afraid to share my age. If you don't put your age there, what does that tell an employer? You're old. I'm 52. I'm very proud of it. And if, yeah.
So, I'm wondering how much time you spend on all this. So when I'm a consultant, and someone gave me some great advice at one point, which was to spend 20% of my work time looking for my next gig. So I'm working, 8 hours or whatever. So when I'm a consultant, and I was wondering how long you spend each, this work time on this. So when I was a consultant, someone told me I should be looking for my next gig 20% of my time. So likewise, I'm just wondering what percentage of your time you're putting on this, and what the revenue connected with it.
Okay, so that's a very good question in the sense that it's very targeted, right? Because you're wondering, how do you do all of this, right? How do you spend time on this? Okay, so my most tweeted, remember, I have 80-something thousand Twitter followers. The most tweeted, retweeted statement that I've ever made is that social media is not something you do, it's a lifestyle. So even though I don't spend an inordinate amount of time, I'll bet I spend 5 to 10% of my, it's probably too high. I bet I spend 5% of my day working on social media. I'm thinking about it all the time. So when I walked into this building today, I took a picture of this mug in front of the Microsoft sign. Tagged Microsoft, Microsoft already liked it. I came in here before the room filled up. I shot a little Snapchat video. I shot a little Facebook video. This handsome gentleman right here has my cell phone in his hand, and he's doing a Facebook Live right now. How much time have I spent doing that? I don't know, 0. I suckered him into doing it. Okay? Right? So the point is that you don't want to spend a lot of time doing it, but you want it to be ever present. I look for social media opportunities. And the reason I'm putting this out there is, what do I want out of this? I want my next speaking gig. Right? That's my goal. Right? My goal is I want somebody to hire me to speak. Or whatever, something related to what I do. So I think about this when I walk in. It's not like I'm going to spend a lot of time, but it's always in my mind, so there's a difference. Social media, my most tweeted moment, social media is not something you do, it's a lifestyle. Okay? And if you were all really good on Twitter, you would now do that right now and tag me on the thing. Yes?
I feel like there's a little bit of a misperception of the question, because it sounds like you're asking, how much time do I spend pushing myself out on social media? But there's a lot of information on social media about the field, the profession, what other people are doing. So when I go to social media, I'm getting information
100%.
to find out what's happening, and I may be replying or connecting or sharing that, and then that's new information for someone
Yeah, I
someone
get that.
else.
Yeah.
I was thinking more of the content creation and
That,
how much
that's right. I knew that look. I knew that was that exasperated look, like, how am I ever going to get to your level? Okay? So I've been doing social media for many, many years. A different talk that I give is on how I used a two-brand strategy to build my business, by building my own personal brand and turning myself into the photo business's most interesting man. And at the same time, and believe me, I am as boring as it gets, but if you ask people in the photo industry, they think I'm skiing with blonde women in the Alps, okay? Because it makes them want to do business with me. And then my company had a site, so I talk all about that. So I've been doing it a long time. But remember, if you don't do social media, if you don't start today, you're falling one day at a time each day, falling behind, yeah.
So say you're a consultant, or like I am an independent publicist. So you have your name and your Facebook page and Instagram and some personal things on there.
Yeah.
But then you also have your company name, or your little independent consultancy. Is it important to have its own Facebook page, its own Instagram?
Yeah, it's sort of a little side question but the answer is yes. Your company page you should have a separate company page, and you should have your personal page. And what I will promise you is that your personal page draws most of your business.
But you still should.
You have to have a company page, because if you don't have it, people go there and they go, what's wrong with you? You don't have a company page. But the way Facebook games things, you can't, if you're particularly on Facebook, if you have a company page, you have to pay a lot of money to get people to notice your company page, your personal page. People notice, yeah.
Do you have a website too, or are you just using this social?
I have a website, of course. Yeah, it's my blog, actually. And because I've written in the last 14 months 50-something articles, I lead with my articles. Because most people just lead with, they don't have really something to, I can lead with like good stuff. One thing that I am going to show you, just as a little bit of the future, just so you got a little bit of the future in here. There's a new social network coming out. As soon as this, you would think that Microsoft would have like crazy fast internet, but they don't. Okay? This is an article, by the way, this is an article I wrote for this social platform called Why You Should Take Vacation Days While on Business Trips. Okay? It's a social network called BB. Okay? You got it? Okay? Just one second. Let me just, I'll get your question. So this is LinkedIn's competitor in Europe. They have 10 million people on in Europe, and they're coming to the United States, which is good news because not everybody is very happy with LinkedIn. Okay? Just a little side note, just a little interesting thing. Nobody's heard of it. Go sign up, by the way. You'll be in there right away. You'll sort of be one of the first people out there, which is really pretty good. There's not too many people out there. It's not better if you're here, probably, because there's not a lot of employers out there. But you want to be an early adopter, right? Get out there early. Get a profile out there. BB. Okay, they're coming to the United States. They're getting funding. You'll see they're up to 10,000 users in the United States. You watch, they'll have 100,000 shortly. LinkedIn is very vulnerable because the LinkedIn is crazy complex, right? Everybody knows that. It's very hard to use. They charge. They're not so great to deal with, and so on. So you're going to see this network step up. I'm just giving you a little advanced tip so you'll know. Remember today, Matt Sweetwood told you about BB. But go sign up. Go get a profile. Okay, it's nothing to it. Okay, let's go back to the talk. I want to get through a little bit of Facebook because I know time is running a little bit short here. Okay. Okay. Yeah. It's BEBEE.com. Okay, let's do Facebook because we have a lot of questions about Facebook. Okay, 19% of companies have hired from Facebook, but some 50, I forgot what the percentage was, 50-something percent say that you should have a Facebook. Facebook is the place they go to find out what you're really about. So you can block your Facebook, you can make it private, you definitely can do that. But why wouldn't you use that as an advantage? Most of the other candidates are blocked. They have pictures of their whatever people do, vacations, partying, whatever it is. Use Facebook to really leverage your brand. Facebook has been the most powerful brand for me. I have a verified page on Facebook, which is really cool. It makes me feel really cool. I got the blue dot on my page. It means that everybody wants to connect with me. They think I'm cool. It's all about creating a brand so that you're distinguished from everybody. Okay? Okay. Believe it or not, there's job groups out on Facebook, and there's job openings out there. You can actually go out there, just search. Go to the search box, type in, healthcare jobs. Type in, you'll find groups too. groups that you can join of other people looking for jobs where people communicate with each other. Okay? Yeah.
But let's see, question I have on that is, let's say you're currently employed and privacy on that. Like if you're looking at it, not to say it's not a bad thing, it's just.
Okay. So there's two choices. You can have a second Facebook page, but I'm not a big fan of that because that's a mistake waiting to happen. My advice to you would be skip the Facebook. Do you want a job? Right? So if you want a job, you're going to do whatever it takes. Skip the Facebook. You have WhatsApp, you have Snapchat, you have whatever. There's all sorts of. That's what you should use for your friends and family, and turn your Facebook into a powerful tool for that. Okay?
So what does that mean? Does it mean not putting photos of your family up there? Or?
No, I think it's okay to put photos of your family up there. It's just they need to be appropriate. The other thing you should do on Facebook, Facebook is one of the top places that hiring managers go to see how you've lied every place else. They just go there. Now, if it's blocked, it's blocked. But then they're like, okay, you're blocked, you're private. Okay, I get it. Maybe they'll go with somebody who's not private and they can verify the information. Okay? And Facebook is a place where you think the hiring manager thinks you're off guard. So there's a chance to really reinforce what you do. If you go to my Facebook page, I'm most proud of. It's really hot. What I mean by hot is it carries my brand. You'll find out I'm a father, I'm a single dad, I read all this stuff. Go find where my kids live. Go find anything about them that you won't be able to find it. I carefully edit the materials that go up there so that it carries my brand forward. And after you do it for a while, it just becomes habit. Like you won't do that anymore. Like you won't put your night out with the girls. Okay? You just won't do that. Not that there's anything wrong with a night out with the girls. It's just like you don't want an employer to see that. Right? You clearly don't. So I'm careful about what I curate up there. Right? I curate it so that it matches my brand. And my Facebook's wide open. Wide open. Anybody can go look at it. Yeah.
What about the relative or friend who posts a picture of you while you're on vacation? How do you stop that?
We're going to get to that. I think that's in my next slide. I think we're there. Okay. I'll get to it. It's two slides. Let's go there now first. Okay. The bottom one. Okay, so the question was, how do you prevent someone from, yes? You got it. So how do you prevent somebody from going at that, right? Smart security. Okay? Allow your post to be visible. Okay? Nothing should be private. You want as many people to view posts as I have posts with hundreds and hundreds of likes and comments. Okay? Now you go to the setting. This is a direct answer to your question. Who can add things to my timeline? You set that setting to only me. And you turn on approval of tags before they appear on your timeline. Right? I personally do not want to be tagged by somebody at the strip club or a political rally or anything like that. Okay?
Now, Matt,
Yeah.
you're talking some gems.
Yeah.
But there are industries that maybe are not quite as progressive as you. For instance, the financial industry or large may not be quite as...
I got it. It's a great question. So he's saying that I'm being very edgy with what I'm doing. Of course, you have to value the industry that you're in. If nobody in the industry, nobody in the financial industry has an open Facebook profile, don't have one. It's obvious. Don't do it. But in the general job market, you want to brand yourself, right? And the other thing that I have up on this slide, which is English 101, right? Every post, make sure it's articulate, spelled properly. It's just laziness if you don't. So you have this really articulately written resume and everything, and they go there and they see you can't write. Well, what do they think? They think that you hired one of our lovely speakers today to do your resume. Okay? Always be on your game. It's like, social media is like dating, okay? When you hear like these dating people that give dating advice, when you walk out of the house in the morning, assume that when you go to the coffee shop, you're going to meet the person you're going to marry. So be ready for it. Okay? Dress good, pocket hanky, look good, right? You never know what's going to happen. You should do that with social media. You never know who's going to look at a post. Yeah?
So, just real quick, so we should switch the setting from viewed only by friends to viewed as...
Open it wide up. Delete anything that you have out there that's you wouldn't want an employer to see. Start using the Facebook to actually promote your brand. Okay? I'm going to go back this way. Okay? A couple other rules, because we talked about this before. No whining on Facebook. Okay? Don't want to hear about the traffic. Don't want to hear about the cold coffee. I don't want to hear about any of that stuff. Because if you're a whiner, who wants to hire a whiner, right? Right? And as a rule, you don't put anything that you'd want an employer to know, face your problems, don't Facebook them. I love that. I didn't make that up, but I love that one, right? These are all things that employers look for. Let me answer the question about politics that got asked before. Okay? How many people here have posted something about politics on Facebook? Okay, good. Not too many of you. Okay? I want you to go to my Facebook page and see if you can figure out what my political affiliation is. If you're really good, you might be able to figure it out, but you won't. Okay? Don't do that. Hiring managers, just like if you have a not a good picture, the way you look, if they are a Hillary Clinton supporter and you have Make America Great Again on your profile, they're not hiring you. Okay? It's as simple as that. I'm telling you, they just won't. They're going to pass over you. People are so polarized over that, you should totally avoid that. Okay? Not on your Facebook. Now, on Facebook, they have closed groups. Okay? I will tell you that I am a proud supporter of Israel. I'll tell this closed group that I will do that. I'm a member of several groups, and I post in there. But you can't, those are private. You can't see really what I'm posting. But I'm telling you, I'm giving you the little inside, okay? So I'll post. There's a group called All Friends of Israel, and I post in there. You can't tell, yeah.
So they won't see on your profile if you're a member of a closed group?
No, absolutely. If the group is private, they can't see it, right?
How do you do that?
You just join the group, and they'll approve you in the group. So anytime you want to post stuff like that, it should be in groups of like-minded people, not on your Facebook wall. You will definitely upset somebody. Okay. Since we're running down to the end here, how am I doing on time? Look, 2 minutes. We have Q&A afterwards? We have time? We're out. So let's sort of stay right here. Okay. So I'll be around a little bit after the day. If people want to come up to me, certainly ask me. I was going to go through Twitter a little bit, but I really, really like the questions. Any questions in here that we have right now that we want to go over? Okay. So here's what I'm going to say in conclusion. I know that, it's easy to get focused. I delivered a lot of material, a lot of stuff on Facebook, a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. But it all comes down to motivation. You have to want something really bad in order to achieve it. This is hard. It's really hard to find a job. Trust me, I played around a little bit trying to find consulting stuff. Nothing in life that's worthwhile is easy. You got to stay focused. You got to really want it bad enough and do whatever it takes, which is why I really liked your question, by the way, of what you said about, I get all these messages, I do all that stuff. I mean, I don't care. I mean, I'm like fighting through this. I learned that God forced me to be a fighter, and so I just relentlessly attack anything. I'm like a pit bull. Right? You can kind of see that in my personality probably a little bit, right? I'm not so much fun, maybe, but okay? But I attack, right? And so you guys got to attack. If you attack, I promise that you're going to end up in a better place, and you will have grown from the experience, and then maybe like in a couple of years, the next conference, one of you guys will be up here telling everybody how you did it. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day here.